presents the 1967 NHRA National Drag Races, the Time Machines. Your great-grandmother would probably call these racing machines something out of science fiction. She would be partially correct. The modern drag racing machine definitely a product of science, but there is nothing fictional about the way these cars perform. Real men in real racing machines, the best, ready for the NHRA Nationals. The shimmering uncertainty of late summer's heat enhances the quicksilver efficiency of the modern dragster. The glossy stocker, still a favorite with a fan, as it skitters gracefully and powerfully down the straight. Man and speed. That's why everybody who could has come. One of the finest drag racing facilities in the world is the setting for the 13th Annual Nationals, staged by the National Hot Rod Association. This is Raceway Park in Indianapolis, Indiana. 1,548 entries, estimated value of the equipment better than $10 million. Rich man, poor man, they're both here, honed, polished, and ready. You don't just arrive and run in the NHRA Nationals. No, sir. 6 days before the counting runs, technical inspection is called on a large shopping center parking lot. Racing machines from 47 states and Canada classified according to body style, weight, and engine size. Not only technical inspection, but safety too. Most emphatically, safety. With more than 1,500 contestants, have come some 8,000 mechanics and crew members, a legion of fans following, and they too have come from all over the nation. And just in case a little nursing is required, the Hearst Clinic open and accepting patients. You might call it Hearst Aid for the slightly wounded. The NHRA Tech Committee can puncture a racing man's ego right quick. More than 40 Hearst staff mechanics and technicians offering Hearst Aid for those who have come not quite sure of exactly how they would finally equip their machines for the showdown. This is no time for the wet palms. This is the time for the man to be sure what he wants to do. Once he commits himself, that's it. The shifty doctor, he's there, filling prescriptions, minor, major surgery, broken frames, springs, firewalls, bars, doesn't matter. You want help, you get it. The Hearst Clinic even offering thirst quenchers or a hot cup of coffee for the cool Labor Day mornings at Raceway Park in Indianapolis. After some 500 cases of Hearst Aid, things quieted down around the sick tent, and the boys are ready to go racing. On Labor Day weekend in Indianapolis, the weatherman would never permit rain on a parade. And even the most hard-bitten drag fan will sit still for a passing review, especially if there's a pretty girl to rattle his concentration just a little. And Linda Vaughn, Atlanta, Georgia's gift to drag racing, Miss Hearst Stickshifter. Linda travels thousands of miles each year to appear at major meets around the nation. and she's become a crowd favorite everywhere she's gone. But action is the dessert at the NHRA Nationals, and Raceway Park is the place. The crowd settles, and here we go. We look now at the quarterfinals in the funny car competition. Joe Lunati will be in the far lane, a blown Chevy engine, fiberglass Camaro body. It's a 67 model. He's from Memphis. Jack Chrisman, Long Beach, California, one of the great ones in a 67 Mercury Comet. And Lunati wins it. Joe won it off the start. The 1966 Street Eliminator champion goes into the 67 funny car semifinals. The top gas quarterfinals, we've got a pair of dandies here. Don Kane, Kansas City in the near lane. Chrysler-powered rail, number 2 qualifier, 7.6 seconds. In the far lane, the Beard freight train from Santa Monica, twin Chevy engines, Floyd Lippincott Jr. driving. This is the winner of the Spring Nationals at Bristol and top qualifier. Don Kane wins it. Again, the race was won on the starting line. 7.63 seconds for Don Kane. A great hole shot. Let us go back for a moment and take a second look at it. Don Kane, as you can see, off the line, a tremendous start for Kane. And this time the freight train with Lippincott simply could not catch him at the top end of the strip. So Don Kane upsets Lippincott and the freight train. What has caused the nearly incredible increase in speeds in drag racing to the point where gas rails are running under 8 seconds for the quarter mile? Let's get the views of the Winter Nationals champion, Connie Coletta, the bounty hunter. Connie, what about these fantastic speeds?
We've gone to a lot more work since Pomona. Right after the meet, the other fellows that were in competition, they got stronger with the cars, so this led to another thing that we had to get stronger. And then the tires come along and they got better, and it's sort of a snowballing effect. Driving the cars gotten completely different because the tire characteristic, the way we work the tire, it's changed too. The car's accelerating much harder off the starting line for the first 800-900 feet. Our speeds are still about the same, around 220, 222 when you make a real hard run, but the elapsed time has gone down considerably. You know, like you were saying, we've dropped almost 4/10 since then, and who knows what's going to happen before the meet's over with.
What about the distortion forced on your tires by the massive torque, Connie?
Quite a transition, really, because now with this new tire, and just like the one I made day before yesterday, it was fantastic. I mean, the acceleration of the car was unbelievable.
Well, Connie, some of the competitors are using a narrow wheel and a very low tire pressure. Why is it that you don't use this combination?
I hope I don't get pressured into using it because I don't really know. I don't believe that the tire's been tested under these circumstances with this rim, and I'm just a little bit scared of it, really, because when you get down and you're running 220 miles an hour, the cars are what we call mushy. The car will take and start moving, and you can actually feel the sidewall of the tire flexing considerably.
How about tire distortion? Does this create any serious problems for you?
You've got a terrible distortion. This tire here will grow about 5 inches down at the other end. In fact, about halfway down the course is when it starts making its transition to what we call sling out.
And the track. It looks like it's pretty well seasoned for the finals.
The strip conditions are ideal here. The bite is fantastic. I mean, since all the cars running on the strip has a nice coat of rubber, and it's hot, and it's very adhesive. These are ideal conditions, and I think the brute horsepower has come back into play again, along with the tire. This is why the elapsed times have dropped so fantastically low.
As we go back to racing, we move into the Top Fuel quarterfinals. Jim Warren from Bakersfield, California, in the near lane, a Chrysler-powered rail. Jim, well acquainted with the 6-second barrier. Don the Snake Prudhomme from Granada Hills, California, in a Ford-powered machine owned by Lou Bainey. Both men qualified at 6.8 seconds. This ought to be a fast one. And a foul called on Prudhomme. Jim Warren wins it. A fraction more than 7 seconds, 215 miles an hour. And now let's take a second look at it in slow motion, and you'll see Prudhomme almost lose it off the start. In fact, the 67 Spring Nationals champion almost hit Jim Warren as he staggered from the start. Don recovered beautifully, but too late. This is the semifinals of the Super Eliminator. A look at the Jewel T, owned and driven by Joe Davis of Campbell, California. The competition comes from the defending champion Gene Snow of Amarillo, Texas, and his Dodge Dart, the Rambunctious. A foul by Joe Davis. Red light. And Gene Snow goes to the finals at the Nationals for a second straight year. Now semifinals in the Super Eliminator. Jim Wofield, Pontiac, Michigan, in a Ford-powered B-fuel dragster against Dave Strickler, York, Pennsylvania, in a Corvette. Strickler in the far lane gets a handicap start. And he jumped the light. So Dave Strickler fouls at the start. Jim Wofield goes into the finals against Gene Snow. For Wofield, 183 miles an hour. A great effort, especially at the top end. Next, the Street Eliminator semifinals in the near lane. Dick Becker, Sunland, California, Ford-powered. Far lane, Sammy Cunningham, Corvette, 67 Spring National Champion. Corvette will get the handicap. Red light against Becker, and Sammy Cunningham continues his winning ways. He's having quite a year. Sammy Cunningham goes into the Street Eliminator finals. Now we have the finals in the Super Eliminator class. Gene Snow in his rambunctious Dart. Jim Wofield running in the far lane in a Ford-powered dragster. And Wofield can't catch the Texan. Snow well under 9 seconds, better than 138 miles an hour for the Super Eliminator Championship. Gene Snow in the Dart. Now the Street Eliminator final. Sammy Cunningham. Pappy Ellis in the near lane. Cunningham has the handicap. Ellis has got to come late. Look at him come at the top end. And Ellis wins it. Pappy Ellis wins it in the near lane as he caught Sammy Cunningham at the top end of the quarter-mile strip. Let's go back and take another look at it, and we'll freeze it for you as they reach the top end. You've heard them talk about top-end speed. Here you can see it. Great example of what it means to be the fastest at the top end of the strip as Ellis catches Cunningham right at the finish line and wins it. Semifinals in the funny car class. Crowd coming alive for this one. Joe Lunati in the far lane in his blown Camaro. Terry Hedrick, Royal Oak, Michigan, in his Corvair. The winner, Joe Lunati, 8.2 seconds, nearly 175 miles an hour. So Lunati is in the funny car final. Next, the semifinals in the Super Stock. Bill Jenkins in the white Camaro from Berwyn, Pennsylvania. Bill Shrewsbury driving the Sox and Martin 67 Plymouth. Handicap to the Plymouth. Red light is called on the Plymouth. Bill Jenkins wins the semifinals in the Super Stock, makes his way into the finals. A big day for Grumpy. Now let's go back for a second look at this one, and we'll freeze it at the top end of the course to show you what might have been had Bill Shrewsbury not been too quick off the start. When the Super Experimental Stock came on the scene, they needed a name for it. They called them funny cars, and that's where we are right now, the finals in the funny car competition. Doug Thorley in the near lane, Doug's header's Corvair, fast one. Joe Lunati in a Camaro in the far lane. Let's watch. seconds, 192 plus miles an hour. And again, let's take our long lens from the end of the strip and give you a second look at it. And notice Doug Thorley wrestling with a tremendous torque as he comes off the starting line. But when he popped his chute, he knew he had won the Funny Car Championship. The Hearst Clinic, quiet. Everybody got well in a hurry. It is now button-up time for the clinic. The action is out on the track. Now the stock eliminator finals. In the near lane, in a 67 Camaro, Dan Wenzel, Merrill, Michigan. Ken Gunning in the far lane, 57 Chev Wagon, the Jolly Green Giant. He has the handicap. And the Camaro wins it. Dan Wenzel of Merrill, Michigan, 12.33 seconds, 114 miles an hour for the stock eliminator title. Next, the Super Stock Finals. Bob Brown of Montclair, New Jersey, in a 65 Plymouth. He'll be opposed by Bill Jenkins in his white Camaro. Grumpy Jenkins had a run at the best last year. Not much luck. He's close to victory today. Let's see what happens. Bob Brown, 11.55 seconds, 116 miles an hour for Jenkins in the Super Stock Finals. Now moving out of the staging area, competition eliminator semifinals, Joe Law, Dodge Powered Rail. Bruce Sizemore in the near lane, Chevy Power. The winner of this one goes against Gary Sullivan in the final. Sullivan has a bye. Handicap to Sizemore. On the top end, 9.05 seconds, 161 miles an hour for the West Virginian. Now we get a little hotter. We go to the semifinals of the top gas competition. Don Kane in the near lane from Kansas City, Missouri, a Chrysler Powered Rail. Billy Scott, 18 years old, in the far lane from San Bernardino, California. Staging very carefully. Wins it, 7.66 seconds, 193.9 miles an hour. Billy Scott, an 18-year-old, quite an effort, 7.9 seconds, 164 plus. The winner in the semifinals of the Top Gas, Don Kane. Another semifinal Top Gas eliminator, Bob Presido out of Detroit, Michigan, Ford Powered Rail in the near lane. Jim Bunker from Russell, Kansas, a Chrysler Powered Rail in the far lane. The winner of this one goes against Don Kane in the Top Gas Finals. And Bunker did not get away clean on the start. Bob Presido wins it. So we'll have Ford and Chrysler at it in the Top Gas Finals. Don Kane and Bob Presido. The crowd really stirred up now. The competition eliminator finals, Joe Law in the far lane, Gary Sullivan from Minneapolis in the near lane. Flat, 143 plus miles an hour. So Joe Law is the competition eliminator champion. Now we move to the Top Gas Finals. Bob Presido in a Ford. Don Kane in a Chrysler. Presido from Detroit, sitting quietly. He's ready. Don Kane from Kansas City moving into position in the staging area. Buster Couch setting him. It's Ford and Chrysler. Presido in the far lane, Kane in the near lane. at 7.65 seconds, 184 miles an hour for the winner, Don Kane. Now strolling under the Hearst Bridge, Don Garlits. You'd never know it unless you get real close, not with that growth he's got all over him. But Big Daddy says he won't cut off the beard until he has broken the 7-second barrier. The swamp rat using that backcountry psychology you suspect here because he has been running very well. He's up here taking a look at the staging area and the starting line with Buster Couch. He wants to be on one of the seasoned portions of the starting line, and he'll be running against an old foe, Tom McEwen from Long Beach, California. If you've got a seat, you better go get it, because we're coming up to the final moment, the semifinals in the top fuel competition. On hand to make sure everything is going letter perfect, Wally Parks, President, National Hot Rod Association. Jack Hart, Executive Director, NHRA, making sure everything is ready for the semifinals in the top fuel competition. Now we have the first semifinal in the top fuel eliminator. Don Garlits from Sefna, Florida will be in the near lane, and Tom McEwen from Long Beach, California in the far lane. McEwen driving the colorful striped rail. Chrysler power for McEwen, Dodge power for Garlits. Buster Couch staging them very carefully. To the finals. Don Garlits winning against Tom McEwen. This semifinal of the top fuel competition matches Jim Warren of Bakersfield, California, Chrysler power against Connie Galetta in the near lane. Ford power to Bounty Hunter. Galetta from Mount Clemens, Michigan. He is the Winter Nationals champion. Warren and Galetta. Galetta almost lost control of it at the start, and he has to shut down. So Jim Warren cruises to victory in the semifinals. It'll be Don Garlits and Jim Warren for the Top Fuel Eliminator Championship. And now the big crowd begins to settle down for the final electric moment. Jim Warren of Bakersfield, California. Don Garlits of Sefna, Florida. They are in the finals for the Top Fuel Eliminator Championship. Both have been very, very quick. Dodge powered for Garlits, Chrysler power for Warren. They'll move them in very carefully. Coming up out of that staging area, you'll notice when they come to the starting line, they'll clean the tires to make sure everything possible has been done to get their warrior off on the best kind of start. Jim Warren from Bakersfield, California. Most of the crowd standing for the finals in the Top Fuel Eliminator. Garlits moving up into position. Did he break 7 seconds? Let's find out if he's got the shave. The crowd yelling, screaming in excitement, and Garlits has broken the 7-second barrier. So he'll have to cut off his whiskers, and here in slow motion, Garlits across, followed by Jim Warren. So the Dodge-powered Swamp Rat from Sefna, Florida, has won the National Championship Top Fuel Eliminator competition. And somebody, I'll bet you, brings him a razor, because he made a great point all week that if he could break the 7-second barrier, he'd cut off at least some of the whiskers. 6.77 seconds for Don Garlits, 220.58 miles an hour. For Jim Warren, 6.95 seconds. And because of the finish at the top end, he's a little quicker than Garlits, 222.7. So the whiskers have had a trimming, one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen out on a drag strip cheering Don Garlits. In the winner's circle now, here's Don. Did you think you'd take the big one and come up with that kind of an ET?
Well, like I said, we had a couple of breaks there, a couple of red lights, and we knew the car had a terrific run in it, and we didn't know how many you could make like that, but with the red lights from McEwen and Sorokin, it led it where I was able to save the best for the last.
Now then Don Garlits told the press, radio and television, what he sees in the future.
Well, like I say, we're going to go home. We've learned a lot from this race. This car has been great, but I think it's just a start on a certain design. As you can tell, the car doesn't look exactly like the other cars. We're going to go on with this design and some improvements, and I think the next one will even be faster.
In the winner's circle with Don Garlits, an old friend, a real pro, George Hurst. It's been a great meet. The Nationals, 67 at Indy. From the finish line at Don Garlits' championship run, and get his comment on what it's like.
You can't believe what the feeling is like.
This has been a Hearst Performance Products film presentation.